Hi sewing friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Mary and today I want to share with you a sewing video tutorial for my brand new sewing pattern called Mary the Bustier Dress, and as the name says, it's a bustier dress with cups. I have spent months working and perfecting this pattern, tested it multiple times. And during this time, because I couldn't decide which version of the bottom part should I make, an A-line skirt, a circle skirt, or a gathered skirt with a ruffle at the bottom, I have sent to my testers all the three versions. My testers love this idea that the pattern comes with all the three versions of the skirt, so I've listened to them and I've made the pattern with all the three versions for the skirt. This sewing tutorial is going to be how to sew the bustier dress with the A-line skirt version with a split on the left side, fabric cups and adjustable straps. Because I wanted to cover also some other aspects of how to sew bustier, and I mean by making foam cups, working with boning, working with underwires, working with lining, I've decided to put together a sewing course for this pattern. So this sewing course is all about how to sew the bustier dress, foam cups, underwires, lining, and also the three versions for the skirt, the circle skirt, the gathered skirt, and also this A-line skirt version. And you can make whichever version of the dress you want, with foam cups, with boning, the circle skirt, with the gathered skirt, fabric cups, no boning, lining, no lining, so it's up to you. And also you have in the sewing course different straps options which you can explore for the dress. You can find the link for the pattern and the sewing course on my brand new website, which is also launching new today. I'm not a web developer, but I've made my own website to save some money, so I hope you enjoy this experience on my website. Yeah, so coming back to the bustier dress, I've put together the sewing course and the pattern, which you can purchase only the pattern or bundle the pattern with the sewing course. It's up to you. If you decide only to purchase the sewing pattern, I want to mention that the pattern will come also with a sewing booklet with illustrations. So the sewing booklet will contain information about how to sew the foam cups, how to sew the boning, how to sew the lining, how to sew all the three versions of the skirt. So you will find also all the information there. But if you want more support and sewing videos to follow along, I highly recommend you to purchase the sewing course, which of course it's at a special price this week, so make sure to check this out. I've put all the links in the description box down below, and because this was quite a long introduction, let's say no more and get started with the sewing. Now let's see what kind of supplies do you need to make the dress. First of all, let's start with the main fabric, and this is a viscose fabric. This works great for the A-line skirt because it's very fluid and drapey. I will be using the same fabric for the lining as well, but if you want other options for the lining, you can use lightweight cotton or lightweight viscose. Because my fabric is lightweight, I will be using a tailoring interfacing. And you will also need a stay tape or an interfacing that you can simply make strips out of it. This is to reinforce the upper parts of the bodice, so you will also need this that doesn't stretch. Of course, you will need an invisible zipper matching your fabric. You will need also a pair of underwires and underwire channeling. If you don't have or find an underwire channeling, In the sewing video later on, I will also show you how to make an underwire channeling using your same fabric. And for the adjustable straps to make, you'll need 2 rings and 2 sliders. Let's start with interfacing the fabric, because we have to only interface the upper part of the dress, the bodice and the cups. I recommend to place the patterns, the bodice patterns and the cup patterns on your fabric along the grain line and see how much you need to cut. So I will cut here, and then we will only need to fuse this part of the fabric. So here are all the pattern pieces cut out of the bodice and the cups. This is the main fabric, which is fused, and this is the lining fabric, and we have here the cups on the main fabric fused, and also for the lining fused. At the top edges of the bodice you have to apply the non-stretch fusible tape. Also you have to apply it to the upper cup edge. Also apply at the center back seam. And don't forget to add to all your panels. And now it's time to pin and sew the bodice panels. So place them right sides together. And pin your seams. I am done pinning the bodice panels, and I did the same also for the lining panels. Pin them all together. And I will put this aside and moving on to the cups. Matching my numbers from the pattern of the cups, I will place them right sides together. So 3, side lower cup panel 3 and center lower cup panel 3 goes together. So this is my center lower cup panel 3 and side cup panel also 3, and I will place them right sides 3 and 3, and I will pin them in place. And now I will stitch on this line here, and you'll have to also match your lining as well. All done. So now let's go to the sewing machine and stitch all these panels together. I'm done stitching all the bodice panels. Now if you are not inserting boning, which I'm not for this dress, I will only top stitch my seam allowances, but before doing this I will also serge my raw edges, because this will make this seam more durable in time. So I will be finishing these edges for all my seams and also for the cups, only for the main fabric. So I'm done with the serging all of these edges, and now I will go to my iron board and press them, and then I will top stitch all the seams. So the back seam will be pressed towards the center back, the side seam will be pressed towards the center front, the two seams on the front will be pressed towards the center, and then again side seam towards the center front and back seam towards the center back. And for the cups, we'll be pressing the seam towards the center cup. And now, because we are at the pressing, let's also press the seams for the lining panels in the same way. Now we can make the top stitches 5 millimeters away from the seam. I am done top stitching the bodice. And here is on the inside. And now also for the cups you can top stitch or leave it as it is. And I think I will go with this option for this dress, so I will leave it as it is. And now we'll have to sew the upper cup to the lower cup panels. So matching your numbers, we have here 2 with 2. Pin them in place, of course, right sides, matching your middle notch with the seam. So you will be stitching this in place, and I will suggest you to trim this seam allowance here. So I have pinned all my 4 cups, the main fabric and the lining panels, and now let's stitch all 4. And now let's press the seam open. Repeat this step for all your cups. Now let's cut the patterns of the skirt, and I have my fabric folded in half lengthwise, and I will put my patterns, taking note of the place on fold. And now take the side skirt panel and place it let's say upside down like this, with the waistline here. And we are doing this to optimize the fabric. So now let's get on with cutting, and we are doing the same for the back panels. I will cut this first. Now I will show you how you can create a split on the left side. So measure from the waistline about 35 or 40 centimeters, depending on how high your slit you want to be. Let's say I will measure 37 centimeters. And I will make a mark here, and on this mark here on the wrong side I will place a small square of fusible interfacing just to reinforce this area. And now fold the edge 5 or 6 millimeters and press. And press it all the way down to the bottom. And now I am doing the same on the side panel. So now place your panels right sides together. Align your edges and stitch from the waistline along this folded edge until you reach your marking for the split. And now press this seam open. And now, to be easier when you sew it, you can go and fold this edge here all the way down to the bottom of the skirt, because we are going to top stitch this and go all the way and finish also the sides of the split. And now top stitch on the wrong side, right next to the outer edge. When you have reached the split, go all the way down. And now let's make also on the other side. And now make a few back stitches here to reinforce this area. Like so. And now let's move on and sew the other panels of the skirt. So take the other panel and place it right side to the center front panel. And now let's place the back panels of the skirt to the front, right sides together. And now place the center back panel to the side panel. Pin them in place. Of course, then pin on the other side. And after that we can go to stitching all of these panels together. And now it's time to finish all the raw edges with an overlocker or serger or zigzag stitch. And now let's press the seams for the skirt. So let's start with the back seam, which will be pressed towards the center back, so this way. the moving on the side seam should be pressed towards the center front. Then we'll have the slit and also press this. The side seam towards the center front and the back seam towards the center back. And now it's time to attach the bodice to the skirt. So place them right sides together and pin it at the waistline. And simply match your seams. And now it's time to stitch this. Press the seam allowance towards the bodice. I want to show you my method of installing invisible zippers that applies to all versions of the dress. From the top of the dress, measure 1 centimeter and mark. So place your zipper pull right at your marking and measure your zipper and mark on your fabric the length of the zipper. Now take a stay tape or a piece of fusible interfacing that doesn't stretch, and this is about 2 centimeters wide, and place it from the waistline and go all the way until you reach your zipper marking that you made on the fabric, and then go and iron this. And of course repeat on the other part of the center back. So now you'll have to finish the center back seams with an overlocker or a serger or a zigzag stitch from the top all the way to the bottom. So this is how it should look. So place your zipper at the top and measure again the length. I have shortened my zipper because it was too long, so I have to leave 2 or 3 centimeters tail for my zipper. So I will go around 47 centimeters and I've made a mark at 47 centimeters. From this mark here I will measure up 2 centimeters and make another mark. Bring your center back seams right sides together, pin them in place and stitch, but you'll start stitching from the upper mark, not the lower mark. So you'll start stitching from the upper mark all the way down to the bottom of the dress. Now press the seam open on the center back. Place your zipper like so, with the right side facing you and your dress facing you right side. Flip the zipper over and from the 1 centimeter marking here, pin your zipper in place and pin it until you reach your second marking of the 2 centimeters. And these 2 centimeters will be sewn to the seam allowance. So now using your normal zipper foot or regular zipper foot on your sewing machine, do some basting stitches, right? Or you can do it by hand and remove them afterwards. I prefer to make them with the sewing machine. And on the zipper, mark your waistline, like so. Bring the other waistline and match your waistline with the marking on the zipper. And now you can also stitch this with a basting stitching. And let's check the waistline. You can see that it's properly aligned. And now to be able to properly stitch it with the invisible zipper foot, let's put the zipper pull out of the way. So we have to pass it through this gap that we have created here between the fabric and the zipper. You can use a small scissor to grab and pull your zipper. And here it is. And now we can move on and stitch the zipper properly with the invisible zipper foot, all the way down where your back seam started. Pass your zipper pull through the gap. Let's close the zipper. Now let's press the zipper. And now what you do with this tail of the zipper, you can leave it like so and stitch to the seam allowance. Make a few stitches to the seam allowance so you can keep it in place. Or first you can grab a square of your fabric, place it right size to your zipper and make a stitch here. And we have it like so. Fold it and now fold these edges over. And double fold this over the tail. Like so. And now let's make a stitch again here. So this is how it looks. Now I'll make a few stitches to the seam allowances to keep this tail in place. Give this a final press. Now this is what you want to achieve. A matched waistline and a truly invisible zipper. To make the adjustable straps, you'll need 2 sliders and 2 rings. Start with measuring the width of your slider. This will determine also the width of the strap. So mine is 1 centimeter. Once you determine your slider width, you will have to cut a piece of fabric 4 times wider than your slider width. So for me it was 1 centimeter, so I will cut 4 centimeter strap wide. And now you'll have to fold the 2 edges of the strap inside and press like so. If you have a bias tape device, you can also use that. And then you'll have to fold once again and again press. And this will create the strap. So I have cut 2 long straps of the remaining fabric and I will stitch them. Stitch along the outer edge. We will adjust the straps to the necessary length afterwards. Take the straps that you have made and cut a piece of 8 centimeters. Take 1 ring and pass it through the ring, like so. Place your ends together Bring your ends together, pin it in place, and set aside. Now take the ring, take the other end of the strap and pass it through. And again. Now this end will go through the ring. You have to make sure you will be on the back of the slider. And now make a loop with this here. On this side I have the long strap, and this is the short strap with the ring. And I will go with the tail right next to this short strap, pass it through. And from here you will have to pass again through. And now your tail will be on the back, and you will fold it over the slider and stitch it to this part only. And to stitch this you can make tiny dense zigzag stitches at the end, or just a few straight stitches and trim the necessary end. Now trim off this tail. And now let me show you how you can sew the lining only for the top part, the bodice, without a skirt. First, let's place the straps on the back, and you have to place the small part with the ring right next to the seam on the back, and this will be placed right side, so make sure that this is facing the right side of the bodice, and pin here in place. Place it also on the other side. And now let's place the lining on top. Open your zipper like so and place the lining over it. Pin this in place. Also this seam at the middle. And on the other side. And now let's stitch along this edge. And now understitch the seam allowance towards the lining part on the right side of the lining. Fold the bottom of the lining towards the wrong side 1 centimeter and press it. So to stitch the lining to the zipper, you'll place your zipper like so and bring the lining over. You'll have to also fold this part over like so and pin it in place with this part folded, and then pin it in place all the way along the zipper. The bottom edge will be folded. And now stitch from the top all the way down to the bottom, and for this step you'll have to use your normal zipper foot. Don't forget to repeat on the other side. And this is how it should look. Turn it on the right side. And now let's press it. Again, your main fabric should stick a little bit here. Arrange the main fabric and the lining at the under bust seam and pin this in place. And make a stitch about 5 millimeters away from the edge. Repeat for the second one. Now we have to finish stitching the lining. So you'll have to cover the waistline seam with the lining. So pin this in place. You will have to stitch on the right side exactly in the waist seam here, making sure you also catch your lining. So if you are not secured with the pins, you can always base stitch first and then stitch with the sewing machine. So this is what you want to achieve on the right side. Stitch that is barely visible. And this is on the wrong side. Now we have to stitch the cuffs, matching the under bust seams. So matching the middle seam with the middle seam of the bodice, pin them right sides. Now after stitching the cups, you'll have to make small cuts along the seam allowance of the under bust, but only make it to the body side, not the cup seam allowance. So separate them and make the small cuts. Be careful not to go all the way to the stitches. If you don't have an underwire channeling, let's make one. So cut a piece of fabric of 5 centimeters in width, and you will have to fold it like so and press it. And now fold it once again and press. So now we have created a channel and we can pass through here the underwire. So now with this folded edge, cover the raw seam of the cup and place it over the seam, and you'll stitch all the way around the cup. After stitching, let's trim a little bit the seam allowance so that it isn't visible from the underwire. And now press the seam allowance towards the bodice. Now let's finish stitching the underwire channeling. Fold it over your raw seam and stitch as close. So now it's fitting time. I haven't inserted the underwire just yet. I only want to fit the straps. So measure your strap and see where you want to place it and how long. And I've put a pin here where I want to place my strap, and I will make a mark on my strap and on my cup, like so. Press the cups a little bit. And now it's time to insert the underwire, so choose your underwire size and pass it through. And now to finish these edges, you can fold it like so and make a few stitches here, or you can make tiny dense zigzag stitches right at the edge and then trim this end. And then I will cut this part here. So now let's finish stitching the strap. So find your marking on the strap and measure your entire strap from here to here. So this is 41.5 centimeters. I will measure the other strap as well and make a mark on my other strap. And now let's measure them together to see. And now let's see if they are the same length. So I have here my markings. And now I will measure on my cup size where I've put my marking. It's about 4.5 centimeters from the edge. So I will mark the same on the other cup. And now I will place my marking from the strap here. And I will make a few stitches here to secure this strap. And now what you can do with this remaining part of the strap, to place it like so until you reach the underwire channeling. Pass the underwire and make here a mark on your strap. Cut 1 centimeter below this. And now fold your bottom of the strap. Fold the bottom and pin it like so, just below the underwire. You'll be able to make a few stitches here to secure this in place. So here it is, stitched here and here. And this will pull when you will put it on. And now to make the hem, I will fold my raw edge once and press it. About 5 millimeters. And after that I will fold once again. And press once again. And then I will go to my sewing machine and stitch this in place, and the hem will be ready. And that's the end of this video. I hope you enjoy watching it. I would be so happy if you support me with a like and a small comment. Thank you for watching this video and happy sewing!